Okay, for this assignment, you're going to be making a pattern from a single pixel on your screen. And this is a student example that was done in a previous school year. So the directions say to begin with, you're going to start a new document. So you're going to go File, New. And then you're going to set this dimension and title this as Pixel Pattern. If yours is set to inches, you need to convert that to pixels. So click where it says inches and pixels. You're going to start with 4 pixels by 4 pixels. It should still say 72 pixels per inch. You can set the color to CMYK. It should say 8-bit, and then click Create. So what this did was this just made a file that was 4 pixels wide by 4 pixels tall. A pixel is very tiny in Photoshop, so you can't even see this screen yet. But what you're going to do is zoom in. You can do Control+ to zoom in, or you can use your navigator. That's this window here. You can just click that arrow to zoom in. If your navigator is shrunken down, it looks like the wheel, so you can click that wheel to open up the navigator. But I oftentimes just do Control+. Okay, then you are going to be working with the pencil tool. So the pencil tool is hiding behind the brush tool. So if you click and hold, then you're going to choose pencil. And then you're going to start with whatever color you want to work with to build your pattern. So I might start with this blue color. So if you notice, your mouse is 1 pixel, and you set your file to be 4 pixels across. You can see how 4 fit here and 4 pixels down. And what you're going to do to begin with is build a pattern with 1 color plus white. So you can decide how you want to create that pattern. So just by clicking, that will give you a single box, or you can click and drag to make an entire row. Remember that in Photoshop, you can go backwards in your history. So if you don't have your history window, you can click Windows, History. And this history box is going to record what I do. If I go backwards, I can undo 1 step at a time. If your history box is collapsed, it looks like this back arrow here. And I can get all the way back to the beginning if I want. So if I want to draw in lines, I can click and drag to make lines if I want. And I could build up a pattern that way. So just decide the method that you want to use to make your pattern. So I'm going to work with this to start out. And then once you have your pattern with 1 color in white, the directions say that you're now going to enlarge this image. And when you enlarge an image, your pixel does not change size. The space around the pixel grows, but the pixel actually stays that same dimension. So you're going to click Image, Image Size. Then if this is set to something other than pixels, you need to make sure you set this to pixels first. And we're going to double this. So 4 plus 4 will become 8. And that will set both dimensions at 8. And if yours is set to automatic to begin with, you want to click here and choose Nearest Neighbor. And then you're going to click OK. So now my screen just grew. My pixel did not change though, and if you remember, my pixel was the exact same size as this blue space. But now because we doubled it, now you can see how the pixel is 4 sizes in that 1 space. So I'm going to have to zoom out. I'm going to do Control- so I can see my whole image. Now I want you to go pick a totally different color to build a new pattern in what you had before. And you can also utilize that white space. So now I might go back and set a color for my white and another color. And I'm going to build a pattern in my white boxes. Okay, So now, when I'm done building that pattern, I'm going to repeat the same step of enlarging. So I'm going to come up here, image size, and I'm going to double that dimension. So the 8 plus 8 is now going to become 16. And make sure it still says nearest neighbor, and I click OK. And you can see that this image just enlarged, but my pixel did not. So I'm going to zoom out to see this whole image. Oh my gosh, you guys. My dog is snoring right now while I'm making this video at home. So now I'm going to think about what new pattern I can create within this larger image. And the directions say you have to use at least 4 colors total. So keep that in mind as you're working with your colors. So I might introduce another color. Okay, so I could just stay inside these individual boxes, or I can now start to bring in other patterns. So maybe I go across and down these. So the one thing about working with pixels is it can get confusing. Okay, so I shouldn't have clicked in that white spot. So if I want to undo something, I can just copy any color with my eyedropper tool. I'm going to click this white, and that square just turned white behind it. I need that in the front, so I'm going to click this corner arrow. Now that goes in the front. Now I can go back to my pencil tool and just click over the top to cover that up. So I don't know if I like what I have started. I'm going to go backwards in my history and undo some things. Okay, so maybe I just draw that along the blue squares. And I'll repeat that up here. Okay. And then I might break up these big white squares with another pattern. Let's see, I'm going to add another color into this. Maybe I'll go with a lighter pink. All right. Remember, you can use Control-Z to undo things. So I'm just going to experiment and see what I like. And then whatever I like, I'm going to add. I like that. Okay, I'm going to undo this box. I'm going to repeat that design. Remember that if you're making a pattern, that's repeating a unit of design. So the colors should be done in the same place in each box as you work around that image. Okay, I like that. So now I'm going to enlarge again. Image size. I'm going to double that. 16 plus 16 is 32. And then I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to have to zoom out so I can see that whole image. And now you can see that pixel is now even smaller because the image doubled. So now I'm going to work in this design and start to introduce another pattern. And I might just work with similar colors that I already have on my screen. So I'm going to copy that blue. I'm going to use my eyedropper, copy that light blue, make sure it's on the top of the square down here. Go back to my pencil tool, and maybe I add blue stripes along here. Oh, my dog is snoring. And I might see what it looks like if I do that horizontally. It's kind of cool. I'm going to repeat that in every box because I want my pattern to be consistent. All right. And then, I don't know, you could add smaller boxes over the top. I'm going to copy this dark purple color and build a pattern there. Oh, that did not work. I have to click individually to build this diamond pattern, or sorry, a diagonal pattern. It'd be nice if I could just draw on a straight line and be done, but I'm going to click individually. We'll go backwards. There we go. Okay, the directions tell you that you need to enlarge this 2 more times until it becomes 128 by 128, I believe is what the number says. And then you'll need to look at the directions on how to well, my computer's doing something crazy. There we go. You'll need to look at the directions on how to convert the file before you save it. Okay, I like that. So I'm gonna enlarge. So 32 and 32 is going to become 64. And then I'm going to zoom out so I can see that whole image. And then I'm going to work on adding even smaller boxes into this design. So the concept is that your color boxes should be changing in size each time. And maybe I introduce another little blue triangle. I don't really like that. Oh gosh, there's a purple dot right there. That's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to cover that up. Maybe I work with stripes again. Let's see. I'm going to go to my dark blue and bring in some dark blue. And when your pixel becomes so small, it might be better to enlarge your screen so you can see what you're doing easier. Okay. And then I'm going to go image size. I'm going to double that. So this should be the last time. This is going to be 128. Click OK, and I'm going to zoom out. And then I'm going to add my last set of colors. So I might bring back in maybe some more white.